restarting a couple of schools. And alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided me with the desire, with the knowledge base, and getting in my heart that I saw early on the need, the necessity for us to teach our own. Now, when I first got that feeling, it was in the 70s. I would say maybe the mid-70s. At that time, I was teaching in the Montgomery County Public Schools. I was not married, but I had children at that time. But I felt that, yes, I definitely wanted to start a family. Get married first, and start a family. From what I had seen of the schools, even probably considered one of the top public schools in the state of Maryland, maybe even on the eastern seaboard, Montgomery County Public Schools, I was leaning towards Islam, and I knew that there had to be some form of a school for us, by us, and for our children. In 1978, I started putting together curriculums, secular curriculums, based on the curriculum of Montgomery County, as well as Islamic centric curriculum and program of studies. And in 1978, I accepted Islam. I reverted on May 19th, which I did not realize at that time. That was Al-Hajj Malik al-Shaba's birthday. 10 years earlier, in 1968, I was given a book, Autobiography of Malcolm X, and started reading it. And it absolutely opened my brain, opened my chest, and I read it 3 more times right after that. But I knew I was on my way to something that I felt was called. And I reverted again in 1978. For me, that's when the real planning of starting a school, it really got real. It became intense, in fact. My new wife said, let's do this, and I did. But I could not do it by myself. Emphasis on trying to start a school solo is not going to work. You really need a concerned group of brothers and sisters and even allies that might not be Muslim, but understand the need and is willing to help. And in that, 2 years later, September 22nd, 1980, that concerned group of brothers and sisters called the Planning Committee, that's all we called ourselves, we opened up a school. Where was that school? It was on Massachusetts Avenue, in the basement of the Islamic Center. Does anyone know where that is? I'm sure. I didn't know if you were old enough. All right, anyway, we opened our doors though, and it was still too small. And another group of Muslims saw our need, and they had a house, a very large house on 16th Street called the Muslim House. And we were allowed to have our primary grades there. And we opened up a school. No permit, no license, and no budget. But we did it. We did it. We leaped out, what is the expression? You leap out on faith. And to this day, the Muslim Community School in Potomac, Maryland, still exists and is one of the better schools. I was the chairman of the board, and then I became its principal. And then I returned back to Montgomery County Public Schools for a few more years, and then went into D.C. to be a principal. But it was a magnificent and I think a noble and very honorable sojourn that we went pulled our resources together. I was constantly getting materials and books from some from overseas, the secular education, from the good old Montgomery County Book Depository, which I appreciate. They practically throw away new things over there in Montgomery County, and trucks were pulling up all the time. And we had the tools, we had the books, and we had the committed brothers and sisters, some working without salaries. And that is how I first got started with the school, learning the system, also understanding that if you have a school, you eventually must become licensed, you must have a permit, and you must be accredited. So 5 years later, we did work on it assiduously, and we got accredited by the Maryland State Department of Education. You have to have it, whether you are a parochial school, private school, a religious school, a public charter school, which didn't exist back then, but you must be accredited. And you must convince the neighboring states that you are running a vibrant and a purposeful program that is doing exactly what your objectives, your philosophy, and your assurances said that you are going to do. I thought I would open up with at least my first experience. From there, my partner and several others, we've opened up 12 schools. Islamic schools as well as public charter schools, specifically STEM schools. And I still working on trying to get a school started in Bermuda. Just recently worked with a group of brothers and sisters from Lebanon and Tampa. And, well, I'm doing less now. I'm trying to do less. I'm retired. But there's an old line in the movie. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Some of you and I into cinematic history. You're excused. I'm sorry. That's the old middle school, high school principle coming out of me. But anyway, I'm not going to ramble, but I don't know what you want to know. But I do know one thing, every group I've worked with, be it 5 schools we opened up in North Carolina, or the 4 in Maryland, the 1 in DC, another in Delaware, we didn't get out that off the ground. But, and also, I work with people, good folks down in Dollar Entry, Virginia. But I always ask, the 4 doves and the 1 H. What do I mean when I say 4 doves and 1 H? Okay, dove, I'm not talking about the Golden State Warriors. I'm talking about what. Okay, it starts off with really who, what, when, and the last one's what. How. So the 4 W's, who, what, when, where, and how. Why do I normally start off with that? Can anyone give me, anyone can give me the answer to that? Let's start off with who. In regard to opening up a madrasa.
Who is your audience that you're trying to address?
That's part of it. That's part of it. They want to know. The state wants to know, especially if you're interested in starting a charter school, say. But even that, they want to know who you are. Who you are. Who is the community? Absolutely. You know? They want names. No, they want addresses. They already have all that, you know, that anyway. But they want to know who. Okay? And yes, who is your audience? Absolutely. Who is this school for?
Islamic Community of Law.
Islamic Community of Law. That's a complete answer. Yes. But they want to know more. So who? And let's get to what. What are you? What kind of school are you? What is your purpose? What is your intent? They want to know, but even more so, your community wants to know. They want specifics before they fully involve themselves, before they sign on. So your who, your what, when. When do you plan on bringing this about? Is it a 5-year plan? 7-year plan? Is it a 2-year plan? Back in 1978, I wasn't sure when this would happen because it started off with me, myself, and I. But the one thing I made sure was that when I presented it to what we call the Islamic Circle, a group of indigenous brothers that met at Fajr, at the Islamic Center, the old Islamic Center. And I brought them a pile, stacks of what is literally an entire school program of studies, curriculum, philosophy, goals, all of that. You have to be prepared. Even when you come amongst yourselves. Especially when you come amongst yourselves. Because you, right here in front of you, you are the major stakeholders. At least in the beginning. And then the children are your major stakeholders. Anyone disagree with that? And that's the problem with a lot of public schools today. They pretty much forget about the children. And I'm speaking mainly central administration and school boards. They can care less. The school board people trying to get to be county council. And the county council are trying to get to be delegates or state senators, and you know. I know. Because I've been in public education for 37 years and 44 years altogether if you count on my teaching in college. So you need to attract like-minded, as I mentioned earlier, concerned brothers and sisters willing to go the long haul. Because I cannot tell you how many partners left us when it got thick. Left us when I told them, look, we have no budget. You might have to donate. And not necessarily money. But here, I don't get, you are starting from scratch like we did in 78. Okay? We were just in the Islamic Center, and in many ways they kind of felt like they didn't want us there, if you get my drift. But we started a school there. Indigenous brothers and sisters. And then others came on. So be clear who your stakeholders are. All right? Right now, starting off is you. All depends on how far you want to go with this. So we did what? Who, what, when are you planning on starting the school? Of course, you don't know that answer right now. But time is of the essence. Because our children cannot wait. You don't know. And I know many of you are parents in here, but do you really know what's going on in these public schools today? I couldn't be a principal today. I could not. Oh, I would be sued and fired in one day. Now, I'm a bit old school, you know, a little rough around the edges. Yeah, I'm Dr. Sharif Salim, a little rough around the edges though. Coming out of Southeast DC. Anyone here ever heard of Southeast DC? Have you been there? Don't raise your hand. You know you haven't. Quite comfortable out in the burbs. Anyway, you know, I couldn't be a principal. Because they just put something on the book in Prince George's County Schools in DC. If a 10th grader came to me and said, Principal Salim, I have a letter from my parents, and I want you to know, this year, I identified with being a donor. Now, there's real case scenarios. Oh, you really? Wearing the same, khaki uniform pants, So, Well, I'm just saying that I am entitled to use the girls' lavatory because I identify with being a girl. Now I'm telling you what, I would say, boy, if I ever find you in the girls' bathroom, I'm gonna call you and yank you on your way out. You can't go in there myself. Oh, yeah, they would put me under the chair. Now I'm not making this up. Look it up. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't there. My last school was Oxon Hill Middle School in 2011. And they were getting on me over there for wearing the cookie. I said, but the touch scores are sky high. Over there at Oxon Hill, Southeast Extended, Ward 9 is really Ward 8. I've changed this school around here. The cookie? Yeah, with the cookie. It kind of makes me feel good. But you didn't comment on my nice suits that I wear. Or the principal down the street with test scores in the toilet, and she wears dresses too tight all the time, but you don't say nothing to her. You comment on me with my cookie. All right, let me not get off the subject. I couldn't be a principal today, nor would I want to. And that's even more the reason every Muslim sitting in here, even if your children are grown and gone and doing very well, you should help out in starting yourselves a school. It could be straight up Islamic school. It could be an Islamic STEM school. Okay? They had them. We started, we worked with a Turkish community up in Anne Arundel County in 2003. And we started the Chesapeake Science Point School. It became quickly one of the best schools in the whole state of Maryland, as well as a couple of other Chesapeake schools. And we did a few of the Triangle and public charter schools in Charlotte, Greensboro, Raleigh, and we get a little C. Excuse me. So we've had some success in the charter schools, and we work through this system to teach Islamic studies in Arabic. Nobody would have a problem teaching a foreign language. They should. You teach French, you teach Spanish, we also have Arabic. But we work through what is called, at least in North Carolina, the comparative religion course, where we teach maybe a little tiny bit of what Christianity today is, but then we go full blast 98% on this. Is this being taped? Yes, it is. Okay. I don't care. What are they going to do to a man in his 70s? With a bad back and that time. But anyway, so yes, you should want to know what kind of school that you want. You have to be extremely clear with that. What kind of school do you want? It doesn't have to be a public charter school. That's going to take some work. And remember I said you need allies. Okay? Because if we didn't have a few state politicians and Anne Arundel politicians to work with us, or people who are close to these folks, we would have never been able to be successful with Chesapeake Science Point. So you do need your allies. You do need the community to know what's going on. Be they Muslim, non-Muslim, it doesn't matter. Communication, I find, is extremely critical. But you have to know yourself, what kind of school do you want? What grade levels do you want to do? The schools that I've started, my partner and I, we have a company called Washington Education Foundation, and Dr. Hassan Karat, we work very well together to open up these many schools. And with that, you have to be very clear, like I tell all of my teachers, I used to, be very clear. Your clear expectations are so important. You don't want any gray area. And within the group, you might have to decide that. It's not just one person. What do we want to do? We want to go pre-K to 3, to 3rd grade? I normally suggest that. Okay, but interesting, the Muslim community school, so many people came to us that we started pre-K all the way up to 12 out there, and down there at the Islamic Center. And then we eventually got money to be at the IEC, Islamic Education Center in Potomac. And again, that school still existed. So alhamdulillah. What? Now, the last one is how, and then I'm going to open up the floor for Q&A. How? How are you going to come about this? Suggestions, anyone? Or do you know? There's no wrong answers. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. My brother used to remind me when he knew I was trying to start a school. He said, and he was speaking figuratively, get on the corner, okay, at least property that you might own, and start digging a hole. And as you continue to dig this hole, some people will come to you and say, what are you doing, brother? What are you doing? I'm trying to build a foundation for a school, so I got to start. And he would always say, you'd be surprised. Somebody said, well, I know where I can get you some cinder blocks. Another person, I can get you a discount on some seating. And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know where he was headed with that. Inertia is what I'm speaking of. What's in motion tends to what? And if y'all not taking basic science, so let me try one more time. What's in motion tends to remain in motion. So you got to start, people. My dear brother said, I take his sisters on the other side too. Yeah. But this is going okay. And what's at rest tends to what? Remain at rest. Leave those folks behind. Oh, they go out for them. On your day out there's a special place out there, read early on, for those who help the orphans, feed the hungry, start a school, build a masjid. Just beautiful masjid here. I haven't been here in a while, I'm sad to say, but I'm just impressed. I'm good about it. So, the how are you going to do it? Any ideas? The question remains to the Jamaica. Don't all speak at one time.
The first thing is have a planning committee.
That is absolutely correct. You have to start with a committee, a planning committee. And sometimes it's hard maybe even to get here. Our planning committee met at our different houses. Well, we really couldn't meet at the Islamic Center per se. That's the only place we had. But you have to have a planning committee. And I see brothers here, but sisters must be included. Must be included. I know that those beautiful maternal instincts will come out. Mostly on the good side. But back in the day, 40-some years ago, we had to let some of the sisters know that we are not just wrong. We don't call on us just to move some furniture or things. Let's all work collectively to build this. So the how. Yes, planning committee, you're absolutely right, Robert. Okay? And get a schedule for when you meet, and everyone start pulling things together. There's nothing new under the sun. You can't completely criticize them other than following within the various guidelines and parameters based on what kind of school you want to do. There are too many parameters and guidelines for public charter school, but I'm not saying it's impossible. They're just making it difficult, more difficult every year to open up a public charter school. The first one I started in '97, the Village Learning Center, with my sister Martin, a couple of other brothers and sisters. It was, I think it was only in the country, it was only about 17 charter schools. But now it's state of Louisiana has more charter schools than public schools, believe it or not. So it's growing, and they're making it difficult for a person like you and me. Well, you probably have much more wealth than me, but they're making it difficult because corporations have now come in and have taken over. I'm not trying to discourage it, but I'm just saying what it is today. The rules are too many, and they need to see. I mean, what they're asking for almost first and foremost is, what does your planning committee or whatever you call yourself, what's in the bank? What's in the bank? They want to see financial statements even before you send the application. All right, I can ramble. Open the floor here. Q&A. Questions? Hopefully I can give you the answers. Yes, President. No.
How many years do you think it will take to get the charter? I mean, I know that they do an annual review on this every year for the PG Council, but how many years will it take? Maybe 2 years, 3 years, do you think it will take to, with the right type of political pressure?
That's a very good question. Did you hear me? How many years? Okay, there are variables to that. Again, what type of charter school? If you're going pre-K to 12, it might take you 12 years. Because the secondary schools need certain qualifications of the teachers, computer labs so large, so big, media centers, they don't call them libraries anymore. Yeah, but I'm exaggerating with the 12 years, but it really matters on what type of school. Now, if you come up with a very novel idea for a public charter school, something that, I'm not saying it's completely impossible, but something that somebody else had not thought of, that could get you over, but also the allies. I think all of us have friends. I mean, we had a lot of friends before November the 8th, okay, come in and try to get that vote. Let's see if they're still out there for you. Let's put it out there. Let's see. But again, the balance is what type of school? Pre-K to 3, you could start it a lot sooner. The facility where you're going to start the school counts a lot. And they like to see at least a couple of educators on your board of trustees. Okay? Unlike our school boards today that are filled with across the nation with a bunch of lawyers, politicians, probably any teachers whatsoever. I don't think any medical boards have non-doctors on them. Do you? I'm being a little mean right now, but it's true. I'm sorry I didn't give you a direct answer, but it really, well, I did. It depends on what type of school you want to start, the novel idea that you're coming up with, and that you have. That's a loaded question. Also, it's a $50 million question because charter schools bring in millions. Did you know that? Yeah. If you have about, I'll get to that. If you have about 400 students, you're pretty much guaranteed to get $5 million from where your taxes go, the government. Do you know that?
Now we know.
Let me do the legislation. No, I'm just kidding. I was about to put him in detention. You did that. How could I even say such things? I mean, several years ago, when I was starting treasury, it was like $21 or $22 per head, per child.
per day?
Did I say 22? Yeah, 22,000.
22,000
No, per year,
Per year.
not per day.
$22.
Oh, no, 22,000 per year. Each child, you do the math. Special needs children, about $31 or $32, 32,000 per year. Why do you think all these corporations are jumping in now? Okay? Oh yeah, it's loaded up with corporate America coming in and starting these charter schools all over the country. Sometimes charter schools, they call it high-tech school, where the child sits in front of a monitor all day. And that's approved. So a novel idea, we once started an international school. International languages, international law, and it was accepted with favor. Okay? Because that was something that they hadn't seen. Now languages, yes, but when you start dealing with programs that have trips to the United Nations and your young people are learning how to be delegates or ambassadors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that went over very, very big. You just can't say a tech school, everybody's doing that now. But at one time, this tech school, high tech, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that was highly accepted. If you have a program that centers on things like coding and cybersecurity, for example, yes, that's pretty out there, but you can channel yours in different ways, okay? Of course, you have to have the hardware for that, the budget, but you might get some people to sign off with you for that. So, yeah, an elongated answer, a novel idea. I really would like to see the group come up with that. But my success has been with languages, law, cybersecurity, international law, because schools always had Muslims from all over the world, and it worked.
As far as facilities are concerned, we could rent in the short term, we can rent the place. In the long term, we actually going to build a purpose-built place. And we hope to fulfill that project, including science labs, computer labs, the whole works, all the way in the next 2 years.
It can happen. I would love for this whole group to try to take a trip down to Cary, North Carolina, to see what we started with down there. It was a 72,000 square foot warehouse, a shell. If you go down there now, you would see several computer labs, auditoriums. You just have to see it to believe it. And a waiting list, at least the last time I was working with them, of at least 1,700 students trying to get in. And they achieved that in less than 2 years. And now it's one of the top schools in the state of North Carolina. You just got to see it.
What's the name of it?
What's the name?
What's the name of it? I have one question.
Triangle Public Charter School. Look it up. You'll see. You'll be impressed. And now they branched off to a few more. Triad and Triangle. One in Greensboro, Triad. And Triangle. I'm just so impressed with Triangle. And I just helped them out. They already knew what they wanted to do. My partner and I, Dr. Salim, I see the question is this.
Okay, so with your experience, many years of experience opening up schools, how do we come as a community to position ourselves to get some funding for opening a school for this community, because there is a need for this community for a school? So how do we position ourselves? Maybe there's ideas to go talk to corporations. where we can get some sponsorship, local corporations who have headquarters here? Or how do we do about it? I mean, is there any ideas that you can give
I
us?
mean, verbally turn over every stone that's out there. Your nephew might work for a corporation. You might be a CEO. I don't know. But you have to put the feelers out. That's where 3 better than 1 and 10 better than 3. You got to get your group together, all right? And come with, kind of an idea of what you want to do. It's not too early to do your philosophy and a checklist, all right? But you just got to reach out. It will come. What was our budget in 1978? 0. Okay? And it took 2 years to open up September 22nd, 1980. All right? True, we had an Islamic center. We didn't have to pay rent there. But then the administration changed and they kicked us out March 5th, 1983. That's another story I won't get into right now. But we had another group that took us in up in Potomac, Maryland. Potomac, Maryland, big, beautiful campus, 13 acres. And that school still exists today. You might want to take a trip there. Okay, that's much closer than Cary, which is right on the side of Raleigh. I hope I've answered that. Reach every way that you can and let them know what you want to do, your community, what you want to do. And you'll be surprised you get some changes. You'll be surprised. Sure.
So you said it takes depends how long from kindergarten to 3rd grade, 6th grade, whatever you want to open school. If you open, let's say, from kindergarten to 3rd grade, right? And you decided later on,
pre-K.
pre-K, and then you decided to go further. Is it easier?
Yes,
Or
it is. Yes, it is.
So once you establish, then it's easier to go to higher level.
Yes, it is, absolutely. Because of the inertia, okay, it's already in motion. And I've often told groups that knew very little about starting a school, start off at pre-K to 3, because I'm looking around, there's a lot of young parents here. And then you grow your 4th grade, then your 5th grade, and sometimes then you start jumping 3 grades of growth, okay? Because it's already growing. And, you've got your fundraising thing going on, and even if it's not a public charter school.
So you can have the facility for planning for a higher grade, but you can start with smaller. Is that okay?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. In that same facility, while that facility is continually being renovated, okay? They'll work with you on that. But, they have very meticulous guidelines. For example, with the smaller children, they cannot go into a laboratory with the sink way up here, They don't want them really stepping on a box to get, so you have to regulate this and you have to do that. And you run your school, even if it's a public charter school. But what the authorities do is they have all of your papers, all of your planning, and they will make sure that you do the kind of school that you have on paper. They will make sure. And yes, they have people that can come into your Arabic class and see, well, this brother don't know the Arabic. So they want answers. But you get that reputation, you don't see them quite often. So they know that you're doing your job. My dear brothers, mostly Turkish brothers in Maryland, and those, they know that this Chesapeake STEM program they're really solid. They're very serious. And they're doing a good job right over here in Baltimore. They also have one in District High School. I hope I answered those questions. Yes, I do. Why?
You're one of the main people that run the DNet Center churches. Is there any foundational ties of how you guys got that started up, educating the churches community about the history of PG and the community? Are there points from the start of that can be related to the brothers and sisters here that they can take some of those tidbits and apply that to starting school, because again, they already got like a nice starting point. But then it's just filling in blocks, if you will.
So you want to know the experience that I've had at the DNS Center of America. I think many of you know that school, Atlanta, Maryland, Good Hope Road, beautiful masjid. And a 16.5 acre campus that went well over 100 million budget. I never worked with a group that never wanted to do a fundraiser at the beginning. All that money was there. Good old government money. U.S. government? No, okay. Turkish government money. And I'm very thankful that they did that. They have a beautiful facility. I've been trying for years to have them open up a full-time school. They have one building right across from the masjid. Oh yeah, I'll put it out there. I counted what could be 17 classrooms in pristine condition, easily change it to classrooms. With a cafeteria downstairs, masjid 50 feet away. My mom, swimming pool, basketball court, restaurant, and play area that a co-educated like me would dream of in an Islamic setting. No school. I showed them how they could make X amount of dollars. No school. No school. Pre-K, all right, they were doing a so-called Montessori program, but you gotta be licensed to do a Montessori program. You just can't stick Montessori anymore. And I'm telling you because I told you. But that's a different kind of community. But the facilities are there. You just have to have someone with the gumption to say, yeah, we can do this. Brother Sharif, you can help us with that? No problem. But that's there. We are here. I hope I've answered the question. But that also goes back to the will. You have to have the will to do this. You really have to have the desire. And you have to see the need. I saw the need in 78 when I had no children at all. But I knew one day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would bless me with children. And I wanted them to come up through the Islamic studies. And two of my children got that started. And one went on to graduate from an Ivy League school at 20, doing quite well. The foundation was at that school. Any other questions? Yes, brother.
I have one question. Let's say we have a pool. Let's say it's been a pool and we started it. And like you said, like it's been funded by the state or the government, right?
If it's a public charge.
Yes, if it is public charge.
And you can still get grant money even if it's not a public charge.
But my question is, so in that kind of facility, we cannot deny any of the other child coming in? Like
That's a very
like
good question. Did you
non-Muslim,
hear that?
non-Muslim, LGBT community, these people, they come over there too. How do we manage that under the Islamic community?
Okay, I'm smiling because I have the answer. But I think I have to have this recording turned on. No, I'm serious. No, leave it running. I have the answer, alhamdulillah. And there is a strategy that's been used successfully. I'll see you after this session. But I don't want any phones on or anything. I might have to collect on your cell phone. I'm joking. But I have the answer, alhamdulillah, because we've done it. Now, with a public charter school cannot deny a child, irregardless of their religious ideology and all those other ologies and things. You can't. If they fit the criteria of living in the jurisdiction where the school is. Okay? And that doesn't mean they have to live across the street or even in the block. But if you start one in Prince George's County, it's pretty much open up to Prince George's County. Okay? Some have different guidelines where if you live within that school district facility where that charter school is started, then they have the right to apply. And they have to apply. And in most cases, take a test. And write an essay why I want to go to the, what was the name of the school here? Crescent. I like that.
I just made it up.
But I like it. Graphic is one down the number anyway. Crescent Academy. Yes. I remember, can I give you a sidebar? No? Somebody said no? Brother, you're in detention. I remember when a group of brothers, including myself, we opened up, at first it was called Islamic Community School. Then later changed to Muslim Community School. That's another story I won't get into right now. But when I bought this stack, enough for every brother to have of literally a charter school in both hands, right there, how to do it. Excuse me, not charter school, Islamic school. I remember calling the school, I wish I had a number like Crest, I like that. But I called the school Sunnah International Day School. Them brothers looked at me, and all of them were like older than me at that time. The year is 1979. All right, Sharif, we see you did a good thing putting all this together, but we can't go with the name. What's wrong with the name? Now, you know, I knew the dean at that time. Sunnah International Day School. Well, yeah, some brothers might not be Sunni. I didn't say Sunni, I said Sunnah. No, we can't go with Sunnah. Well, how about international? Sunnah International? International. What is that? International? We don't think international is appropriate. I mean, it's maybe universal, but international. All right, I scratch out international. All right, Sunnah International Day. Day, of course the school is at day. Triple that going at night. So they scratched day out. The only thing I was left with was school. That's a true story. That's why I wish I would have had Crescent back then. They couldn't argue with that. So y'all get together with the name. You know, Crescent is good. But you have to be on one page. It has to be truly a homogeneous outfit here to make this work. It must be tawheed. It must be unity. Or you're not going to get off first base. Any other questions?